Hey there, Chef D Malfi here, and welcome to Plant-Based Made Easy. This is a show where every single time we come on, we write a cookbook. We actually cook a recipe out of a cookbook that I write every month. And this week, we're working out of my December cookbook. This is hot off the press and available to you right now. Those of you who've already purchased, thank you so much for supporting Plant-Based Made Easy community. And you have your cookbook now. And let's get right into our lunch. Today, I'm going to be making with you Harvest Veggie Protein Bowl. Now, this is a really easy lunch. I made some of the prep ahead of time just so that I could make this really simple. So let's get into it. The first thing that we need to do is we need to actually make our grain bowl ingredients. We're going to prep those and then we're going to cook them. So first things first, in this recipe today, we're going to be using dried farro. Have you ever heard of it? It's an ancient grain and it looks like this. This is actually a pre-cooked dried farro. This is 10-minute farro. This comes from Trader Joe's and I absolutely adore these little tiny bags of these ancient grains that they have at Trader Joe's. The reason I love them is because they're pre-cooked. So they cook them, they boil them first, and then they dry them completely, and then they bag them. So it looks like dried grains, and I'll show you what it actually looks like here. I'm going to show you in the overhead cam. And when you look at it, it kind of looks like, yeah, it just looks like regular, dried grain. But the thing is, it's actually par cooked, almost fully there. So all it takes is 10 more minutes in boiling water. That's why it says 10-minute farro. You just pop it into a pot just like this. Cover it with a couple inches of water and let it boil for 10 minutes. That's all it takes. And I've done that ahead of time. So you'll see this is the dried and then this is the cooked. Look, it like really expands and gets really nice and chewy and much bigger. So here is the dried and here is the cooked here. So we're going to use this cooked farro. And because it's just boiling, I figured, why don't I just do this ahead of time? Hi, Diane. Hi, Karen. Good to see you. Yeah, I'm really glad that you like farro too. It's one of my favorite of the ancient grains. And you know what? You can use any grain that you like. You can use quinoa. You can use brown rice. You can use fonio. You could use millet. You could use barley. It doesn't matter. You can make this Harvest Veggie Protein Bowl your own. All right, so the next thing that we want to do is in another pot, I'm going to actually cook down our harvest veggies. And there's a couple different things that you can use. You can use delicata squash, which I have here. This is actually roasted off and it's really nice and tender. Or you can use sweet potato. And I think today I'm going to use the sweet potato. So I'm going to do a split screen. And what I'm going to start with is get my pot on like a medium. And then I want you to either choose between water saute or actually sauteing with oil. I'm going to use a little avocado oil because, as Tabitha Brown says, that's my business. And I'm not oil-free completely. I try to limit the amount of oil that I have, but a little bit is just perfect for this pan. However, if you're whole food plant-based and you want to use water, it's totally fine. So I'm only using about a tablespoon or so. And let that come to heat here. And then what I'm going to use instead of delicata squash today is a little sweet potato. So I have these chunks of sweet potato, and I love using sweet potato and squash interchangeably. They both have the same kind of very similar vitamin and mineral structure because their colors are very similar. So you can tell that they're going to have some of the same vitamins and minerals. It's going to give you a ton of fiber and it's going to give you a ton of flavor. So both of these things will achieve the same thing. And that's what we want. Either squash or potato, going to give you both a lot of fiber and a lot of flavor. And I'm going to add the potatoes right to my oil or my water. And I'm going to use a heat-resistant spatula and just give this a nice mix. Now I'm going to season as I go. Every single time I add something to this pan here, I'm just going to season it up. A little bit of freshly ground black pepper, of course, and some salt as well. I'm just using sea salt here. Now, to make sure that these cook quickly and really kind of like don't get stuck to the pan, I want to create a steam situation. So how am I going to do that? I'm going to take a really nice fitting lid here. I'm just going to pop this on. And every once in a while, I'll just peek inside and give it a mix just to make sure that everything is looking great and not sticking. Hi, Sisette. Hi, Sydney and Charisse. All right, so now I want to, in a few minutes, I'll actually add more ingredients to this. We're going to use a little bit of kale today. Green kale, which is going to be really yummy. And we're going to use a little bit of chickpeas as well. We're going to flavor this with some red pepper flakes and some more S&P, of course, and some garlic powder. But while we wait for the sweet potato to cook, let's make our dressing. I told you this was going to be easy, and it definitely is. So get a nice big bowl here. I'm going to use this bowl next to me so that you can actually see what's going into it. And this is a tahini lemon juice dressing. It is so super simple. So first things first, we need tahini. Of course, I'm going to use a little tahini, which I have right here. And I love using tahini. It is sesame seed paste. It's very similar to any of the other nut butters, but this one's going to have even more protein because it's a seed and not a nut. So in 2 tablespoons, it's going to give you about 8 to 10 grams of protein. That is a lot. And there's a range depending on what kind of sesame seeds your tahini is made from. Every manufacturer is going to have a slightly different, probably nutrition label on it. But I'm going to start with this. I'm going to use a few tablespoons. And again, if you want the quantities for this recipe, you can download my cookbook. This is the December Plant-Based Made Easy cookbook. And it is the second recipe out of the book. It's really great. I'm going to add a little lemon juice as well. Oopsie. Oh, goodness. Just spilled my water. You need some lemon juice and you need some water. So I'm just going to squeeze. Oh, I need just a little bit, just like a lemon kiss. So probably half of this lemon here. Squeeze it right in. Get yourself one of these juicers too if you don't have one. They're really super useful in the kitchen. Okay. And then I want a little bit of water as well. So I think I have some cold filtered water in my fridge. Let me check. I do. And it's anywhere between 2 and 4 tablespoons. I think I'm just going to go, I'm going to keep it on the thick side, I think. Add my water. And now I'm going to add a little garlic powder, which I have here. This is California garlic powder, which I absolutely love. And I'm just going to throw this right in. I'm going to use not so much. Think of it as just kind of like a pinch or so. And then, of course, freshly ground black pepper and sea salt. This sauce, this dressing here is super duper simple. Obviously, you can make it your own. You can add, chili flakes if you want. You could add orange juice if you want. Make it your own. Make it however, sweet and spicy you want. And then use a whisk here. And then just give this a good whisk it up. Give it a good whisk. I think I added a bit, this lemon that I added, the lemon that I used juiced a lot. So I'm going to actually add a little bit more tahini because I want it thicker than this. I added too much lemon juice. I'm going to add a little bit more. And I'm going for the consistency of like a really kind of thin, but emulsified vinaigrette. So I want it to be kind of thick and creamy. Obviously there's no cream in it, but you know what I mean? It kind of has that like runny, creamy look. So really kind of a thin salad dressing, and you can see I have achieved that. This is perfect. Okay, I can smell these sweet potatoes. I'm just gonna give them a quick mix. I can see that some of them are starting to brown a little bit. Let's do an overhead so you can really see. Ooh, these look so yummy. And almost there. I have it on a medium, but I'm going to pull it down just slightly. Keep it covered. All right. All right, I'm going to move my dressing to the side here. And let's talk about the other ingredients. So we're not going to use the delicata squash. I opted in for sweet potato, but you could use either or, like I said. Now let's talk about the green kale. So I'm going to use green kale. This is straight out of my CSA farm box. I want 3 to 4 cups or so. And this is already pre-washed. You can see it's nice and wet. And I'm actually still going to, I'm going to use these small stems here. So there's really a much larger stem on the base here, which I've chopped right off. But all of these smaller stems, even the like medium thickness ones, are A-okay. And what I want to do is kind of take the kale and then kind of like roll it in my palm and hold it down with my hand as I like shave it or chop it into kind of thin strips. You can do thin strips, you can do thick strips. It doesn't matter. You just really want it to be evenly chopped. So whatever you decide, make sure that it all is the same kind of size, and then it will cook down in the same way. All right, so that looks great. Now this looks really good too. I'm going to add my kale now. Just pop it right in. A little water already on here from the washing, so I may not need to add any more oil. I probably won't, but let me just feel it with my spatula to determine if I actually do. No, I feel like there's probably enough moisture in here. This looks really great. So now I think I need to just season up. Again, I'm going to season as I go. I've added an element to this pan, so I'm going to add a little bit more freshly ground black pepper, and then of course salt. But now I'm going to add some flavor agents to the Harvest veggies. I'm going to add some red pepper flakes, which I absolutely love. This gives it a nice heat. Just a few pinches is all you need. And take this, remove the red pepper flakes completely if you're heat sensitive, if you don't like the red pepper flakes or that heat, you can just totally omit that. And then some garlic powder as well. And this is really more for the kale than anything else. This is going to make the kale taste wonderful. The combination of the garlic and the kale together is like kind of a match made in heaven. It really works. Give this a mix. And then the last thing that I'm going to add are garbanzo beans or chickpeas. So I have these here. And just a little fun fact, you can actually remove a third of the sodium in any canned beans by taking them, putting them in a colander just like this, and then rinsing them. But you want to save that bean liquid. So what I like to do is open up the can just slightly, like make a little hole in the tin can, and then just pour out that aquafaba. That bean liquid is called aquafaba, and it's really, really good for making lots of different things, from souffle to whipped cream. It's awesome. It's a really wonderful cream or dairy substitute. So save your aquafaba. Then once all that aquafaba mixture comes out of the can, you can open up the rest of the top of the can and then pour your garbanzo beans into a colander, and then you want to rinse them. And by rinsing them and draining them, you can remove, like I said, a third of the sodium. And that's a whole lot. And we definitely want to do that if we can. We're going to save the aquafaba, so we're going to eat that sodium. We're probably going to consume it in something else, in another recipe. But we've added salt to this Harvest veggie mixture, so we don't need to overly have salty beans, and we don't want any of that liquid in here. We want this to be kind of a dry bean and veggie mixture. So I'm going to add my beans now. And I have the bowl here just to capture any of the water. This looks fantastic. Now, I've added something, so I'm going to season as I go. Really important, a little bit more freshly ground black pepper and a little bit more salt. And you guys, we're basically there. This looks so darn delicious. I think I'm going to let it go just a little bit longer with the top. I want this to be sealed just for a second, just to kind of steam up everything together, kind of like to meld the flavors. It's going to be really yummy. All right, let me clear my decks here, and then I will plate this or bowl this up and build my Harvest bowl. It's going to be really great because I haven't had farro in a long time, a few months, and I try to rotate my grains so I don't get, I don't get palate fatigue from the same types of flavors. And so what I'm going to do is grab my bowl here. And I have a bowl that is sitting on a napkin and then a charger, which is going to be kind of nice. Oh, all right. We don't need these. These are for later. If you wanted, I was going to show you, you could add Brussels sprouts if you want. You could add even dino kale, and I forgot to mention, but I'm going to mention it now. I even have dino kale here, and that's what this is, you guys. I absolutely love any kale, any Brussels sprouts, any of the cruciferous vegetables. So Brussels and kale are both cruciferous vegetables. Both work really well. And I have the kale. I wanted to show you this bag in a reuse bee bag. Have you ever heard of reuse bee? These are really cool. These are freezer safe, dishwasher safe, and they're fantastic. These are reusable gallon bags. They also make snack size. I have these on my Amazon shop in case you're curious about more sustainable options, plastic-free options that are really, really good, not only for your body because they're BPA-free, but better for the environment. Check this out. This is Reuse Bee, and these are on my Amazon shop at Amazon Shop. Chef Daniela Malfitano, and I'm super excited because I love those, and it was hard to nail down what are going to be the sustainable freezer bags of my choosing, and I tried a few, and that was definitely the winner. All right, this looks fantastic. I'm going to turn it off, and now it's time to build our bowl. So I'm going to grab my farro here and a spoon, and what I like to do is just place my farro on one side and then place my veggies on the other. And I really want to pile this high. You know, when I talk about piling high, any of your pasta or your salads, when you're plating, it's really kind of cool if you can get your dish to plate up as high as possible, because we eat with our eyes first, right? So we want it to look really, really cool and really delicious. And there's something about food being piled high that's kind of makes it more craveable. You know what I mean? All right, this looks great. I'm going to, I think I need a smaller spoon here. I'll use this one. So the rest of the ingredients, that green kale, garbanzo beans, and in my case, sweet potato, maybe in your case, delicata squash, whatever you have, just fill up your bowl. And this is super balanced lunch. It's really great. Obviously, lunch, dinner, even breakfast would be totally fine. It's balanced. It's got the fiber. It's going to give you a ton of protein. It's going to give you really great carbohydrates. It's going to keep you feeling fueled for a very long time. Very satiating, this is. And of course, we need our sauce and then maybe something else. I'm going to grab my sauce here. And it's runny enough, but I think I am still going to use, I'm going to opt in for a spoon. And I want all the sauce on everything, on the farro as well as the veggies. Now you can flavor this with a little bit more red pepper flake if you want. You could flavor it with maybe, hey, some goji berries if you want. These would be fantastic and kind of like chewy and sweet. But we're going to opt in for some pomegranate seeds. And look, I discovered a cool way to store pomegranate seeds. You can see I have this in a small little glass bowl here with a lid. And I actually fill this with water, and then I let this sit in the refrigerator with water. And I noticed that when they sit in water, they stay super hydrated and really yummy. So we're going to use these. I'm going to drain them on a little paper towel on the side, and then I'll top my dish with a few. But I like the pomegranate seeds because it matches with the sweet potato. It kind of matches the flavor of the farro as well. Just like really nice and kind of just delicious. Yeah, let's take a question. Okay, Sisette asks, how long do the vegetables last in the reuse bags or the reusable bags? Yeah, they last a really long time. I'm new to using them, Sisette, so I will tell you, I have been practicing for the last 4 or 5 weeks, and I've tried them in the freezer. I've also tried them in the refrigerator, and I've also tried them in the pantry. Obviously, the pantry goods, they last kind of like indefinitely. Like I put red lentils or popcorn kernels or anything, even flours. I can dump like flour into these big gallon bags. For the vegetables, especially the greens, I was really pleasantly surprised that these actually last for like 4, sometimes 5 weeks. We had some Swiss chard in a bag. It was on the stalk and the leaf. Everything was intact. I hadn't cut it or chopped it or anything, and it stayed in the bag totally good for 6 full weeks. The whole bunch, I just like kind of fit it inside of this bag, and it was awesome. So yeah, it lasts a long time. These really do work, and they're so much better for our bodies and the planet. I just want to re-emphasize that. Good question. All right, so this is it, you guys. This looks fantastic. I'm totally ready to eat. We've got our Harvest Veggie Protein Bowl right here coming at you. This looks really yummy and totally nourishing, very seasonal, just perfect for right now, this time of year. So I'm just gonna give this a taste, if you won't mind. I want just a little bit of everything. Farro, the veggies, a little sweet potato. Thank you, God. Thank you for this food. Here we go. Oh, yeah. It's so good. Here's what I'm picking up. The farro, it's like chewy. It works really well for this veggie grain bowl because I think the sweet potato or the delicata squash, whatever you choose to use, both of these sweet potato and delicata squash have like a really kind of nice, soft skin. They have like a soft and tender flesh, and it kind of matches really well with the chewiness of the farro. So both of these would work fantastic. And I love the addition of the garbanzo beans. That is just like going to make it fuller and more protein rich. Really, really yummy. I'd love it. I think we had a question. Yes. How do I clean the bags? Cindy says, looks delicious. How do you clean your bags? The reusable bags are really easy to clean. I seriously, this is what I do. I take a little bit of soap, like a half a drop. I just drop it right into the bag, and then I fill the bag halfway with hot water, seal the bag, and shake it up. Literally, it makes a nice foam inside the bag. And then if there's any additional oil or salt or pepper or dressing or flakes of cat kale that are still on the bag, you can just take a little sponge and scoop them out. But I like to just like seal the bag, shake it up, and get it nice and foamy and soapy inside the bag. And then obviously make sure it's rinsed really well. You can also just pop them in the dishwasher. I don't like to pop mine in the dishwasher because they don't actually clean that thoroughly, I think. But people that do tend to actually flip them inside out and then pop them in the dishwasher, kind of half folded inside out. And they usually put them on the top rack. So either or, they're really, really cool. Check them out. And they also come with like a bunch of different like cool patterns on the outside. So you can find the best pattern for your house that you'll like. Yeah, awesome. Good question. Thank you guys. These are great. I'm glad that you think that it looks delicious, Angie. Yeah, this one is really good. Try this recipe. Again, this is the Harvest Veggie Protein Bowl from the December Plant-Based Made Easy cookbook. Here's what it looks like right here. Now, I just discovered I can print it as a little book. It is a downloadable cookbook, by the way, meaning you can actually download it right to your iPhone or your Android or your computer or your iPad. I do that, and I also print a book that looks just like a book, and then I just like staple it in the middle. But this is really kind of cool. If you've never been with us here at Plant-Based Made Easy, let me just quickly tell you, highlights from the book is the fact that it has a great calendar, and it has everything that we're going to make in the calendar, as well as a recipe key. Now, I color code my recipes according to what type of recipes they are. On Mondays, we do breakfast. Tuesdays are lunch. Wednesdays are dinner. Thursdays are snacks. And Fridays are sweets. And then the staple ingredient or recipes are for the weekend. And I have amazing staple recipes, including cheese, yogurt, bread, and milk. But here is the recipe for today, the Harvest Veggie Protein Bowl. And the best way to print this is actually right from the free Adobe program, where you can actually open up the PDF and you can print it right from there, or you can print it just as a PDF itself, just like a regular kind of like book, and just staple it on one edge, or you can download it. I really love to have it on iBooks on my iPhone, and I just take it to the grocery store because it has a grocery list. So at the beginning of every week, you literally can take this right to the grocery store and you can shop with it. It has a grocery list of everything that you'll need, and it will tell you where to get it in the store. It's really simple. And then it also has hyperlinks, so links of ingredients and equipment that you can use in your kitchen just to make these recipes even easier. So I talk about baking mats. I talk about all the ingredients that I use that are my favorite, like farro, like tahini, all of this. So check it out on my Amazon shop. Those links are going to get you over to my Amazon shop, and make this recipe and make it your own. If you end up making it, please take a photo and pop it into our Facebook group, Plant-Based Made Easy. We are now 3,000 people and growing. I'm super excited. I want you to be a part of our community if you aren't already. So thank you guys so much. And please come back for more. Tomorrow, we're going to be making our dinner recipe, Brussels sprouts, crispy Brussels sprouts tacos, which are going to be fantastic. And I'm going live 5 days this week, Monday through Friday, to feature all 5 of the first week of recipes from our December cookbook. And then for the rest of the month, I'm going to be coming on only on Thursdays for our snack day. It's going to be really fun. So join us throughout the week and throughout the month for all of the wonderful food that we're going to be cooking out of this cookbook. Thank you guys. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Make it fun, make it magical, and I'll see you next time. Peace.